Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and if you checked by a little bit of what the title says, I might be destroying my Macintosh virtual machine, or if it's it's actually a story based on a bit of clickbait I saw a little earlier in the little cyber security side of the world, okay? Now ladies and gentlemen, I read a article, I read a post that said this is an unpatched, one-line piece of script that could serve as ransomware to Apple computers. Now, if you don't know, Apple is a company that I'm not exactly on great terms with. I don't like Apple as a company, but I can wholeheartedly admit Apple makes one of the greatest operating systems out there. Seriously, no matter how much of a hater anybody wants to be, Mac OS is a very stable operating system, and it's pretty much my daily driver for editing all of my videos. I use Mac OS within a virtual machine that is a way better value than anything Apple can sell you with their overpriced piece of crap hardware lineup. But that being said, Apple is also known for being pretty secure. Whether you buy an iPhone, if you buy an iPhone, you're getting a pretty secure product for the most part. Yeah, there's gonna be exploits. Everything has exploits, okay? All right, Granny's pacemakers probably got an exploit too, okay? Your vibrator probably has a network exploit too, okay? So guess what? We live in a cyberpunk future, understand that. But with a good old virus investigations, this one involves the prep phase, okay? Now the prep phase for this is virtual machines. I know, it's a meme on my channel, but I like to play God with my computers, okay? Now as creepy as that shit sounds, most IT professionals, most IT like fucking sages out in the world are just as creepy and weird. All jokes aside, actually, yeah, no, I admit that. We're pretty weird bunches, okay? But ladies and gentlemen, to begin with, I'm going to show you that I'm a fucking Linux user, okay? So if I type in that good old neo-fetch, okay, you'll see that I'm an Arch Linux user, all right? Little based operating system there. I honestly, if you don't know anything about Linux, go to Pop! OS. But I'm an Arch guy, okay? Now my system is an i9-9900K. It's a 64 gig RAM system, okay, like DDR, you know, fucking for all that shit. RTX 2080 and an RX 550 that I only have to run Mac, because Mac computers do not work with NVIDIA graphic cards, okay? Just a bad relationship right there. Now, on the flip side, as you can see, if I fire up Virtual Machine Manager, I have 3 VMs, okay? Now, this is my Windows 10 VM that I play video games on. Games that don't run under Linux, like the 5% of games that I play. Then I have Mac OS, which is what I edit my videos on. Now, I'm going to take that same VM and I'm going to destroy it, but I'm not going to get rid of my files. What I've done is I've actually cloned this system into Mac OS malware, which is what's currently running. Running where, you might say? Oh, we just switched computers, not will we? Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Mac system that I have. And if I can minimize this and actually minimize this, oh, wow, full spoiler alerts. But if you can see, this is my actual Macintosh system. If I go to About This Mac, Apple right now believes that this is a 3.6 gigahertz Intel Core 2 processor. With how many threads, you might ask? Well, if I whip out that good old terminal and I type in htop, you can see that it is, in fact, 16 threads dual-core Intel processor. Somebody at Apple must be going, oh, there's some non-Pogger stuff going on there. Now, I've also got 31.25 gigs of RAM, and if it wasn't more apparent to you that I was actually VMing this, it says that I have a 16 gig stick and I have a 15.25 gig stick, okay? Like, Mac has lost it. It can't even calculate the speed of my memory, okay? This is just all gone. To give you further proof that this is on a system, I'm going to connect back to the Linux system, my main system that I showed you, the God system. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to have this terminal open. I'm going to type in SSH honus, which is the username for that system, add 192.168.100.179. Don't try to hack that. That's actually like my local IP address. If you think you're going to hack it, good luck. It's a local address. Port 56, basic SSH hardening. And then I type in my password, and bam, I'm connected into the system. So if I type in neo-fetch, whoa, that's the same page you saw before, huh? That's because it's the same goddamn system. If I go back to Linux and I type in bash top, you can see as this loads up, I have QEMU system x86, which is the Mac system. It's using nearly 50% of the memory okay, and it's only using 0.7% of my CPU. Unless I start playing games on the Mac, then that's going to ramp up a little bit, okay? So that's roughly what I'm trying to sort of get to you right now, okay? So when we get back to the system, let's talk about why I've done it this way. Okay, and the reason I've done it is because since we're actually dealing with a ransomware where it's going to get rid of all my files, I actually want to have files to get rid of. To show you that this is my actual editing rig, here's Deep Web 232. Came out a couple days ago, and if I open this up, all right, and if I go to the DSLR folder, which is where I store the DSLR footage, and I hit space on one of these, you can actually see, yeah, it's footage from there. And for those wondering, are VMs slow? No, I edit under this, okay? It renders just as it would on a real Mac. It works just like a real Mac, too. Hell, I look just as ugly on this as I look on Windows 10 and Linux. So, bam, just to kill all those misconceptions. But let's take you guys to the second part, the post. macOS ransomware in one line of script. Now, if you actually go to this page, this is on 0x00sec.org, and this was posted by a user called Spooky 2 days ago. Okay, the post was flagged by the community and is temporarily hidden. Now, I understand why it's hidden. The only reason I want to show this to you, even if it doesn't work, is I'm trying to get past a pretty big point, okay? Let's open this whole thing up and see exactly what it is. Apple ransomware in one line of script. So he's got basically a shell script, and as you can see, this arcane magic, which I'll describe to you real quick. This works on last macOS Catalina 10.15.7, which if you go to About This Mac, that is the most recent version right there. Hell, if I go to software update to prove to you it's the most recent, I cannot update this system at all. Okay, so this is as up to date as we can get to. Generates a secure APFS encrypted volume X protected with a secure random 64-character password. APFS is Apple proprietary file system. It's sort of like, you know, how you have NTFS partitioning for Windows 10, Extended 4 for Linux. APFS is sort of Apple's proprietary system. It has a lot of benefits, and honestly, when I'm building my VMs, I typically stick with it because it's just the most compatible with the most newest operating systems they have. Copies files in exfil to this volume, then deletes them. Exfiltrates volume password to the C2. C2 is the command and control server when you're referring to like malware and stuff, so that's what you've got. Apple already said they can't fix this exploit because it's using Apple's native services. This little script encrypts whole MacBook. Whole one-liner encrypts the Mac. It's a basic shell one-liner which will need super user permission to run it. This is exactly why I wanted to make this video. I'm going to get into it. Or they just write the password to super user to open the file. This was reported to Apple 1 month ago, and they told that they can't fix it in any way. So this person's reported that they talked to like Apple's like network, like the Apple security team, and Apple's team was like, nah, we can't fix it, bro. I'm going to cover why I guess they can't fix it, a little bit of theory, but I'm going to show you like how destructive this can be, right? Don't hate me if it's not as if it's not Michael Bayish to you, okay? It's Michael Bayish to me. Get ready for it, boys. And there we go. Open up the font. So as you can see, it's a shell script where it basically is generating a data value called P, which is head-n 1024 dev/u random strings grep o lm. If you can't understand what's going on over here, let me just cut it to you real quick. This whole section right here, okay, is basically generating a random password that's 64 characters long. The way that it does this is it digs into the system's entropic tables, its entropic like data set. So basically what dev/u random is in this case is when you're installing Mac or Linux, the dev/u random or dev/random or dev/a random field is basically the entropy data set. So as you install your system, you have none of this data to begin with, right? But as you use your keyboard and you move your mouse and there's like a billion other things in your own computer that constantly change and fluctuate, it all gets recorded into this data set, right? I'm simplifying things a fair bit just for brevity of time. So as it builds this data set up, everyone has a unique data set. The reasoning is as I use my computer and as you use your computer, we are all using our systems differently. So it makes sense that our data sets, our entropic data sets, are totally different. I have touched my keyboard, I have moved my mouse different than you have done yours. And as your computer builds up enough of this data set, sorry, my Linux system tried to go sleep. As your system builds enough of this data set, okay, then the system can then rely on calling it to generate unique passwords and true random numbers. Because if you had the same, let's say you had the same exact entropic data set, well, I don't think the numbers would truly be random. But if you had completely unique data sets, oh yeah, they would be random. There's a great program that will kind of explain this in the best ways called Veracrypt, which is what I use to generate like encrypted file containers to store VMs in. How this works is, as I'm setting up my password and setting the master sort of like key, the encryption key, I have to move my mouse around the program window very furiously and randomly for it to truly start generating unique characters. If I don't do that, it's not going to have a truly unique data set that no one can crack, all right? I mean, it can be cracked just in a matter of fucking millenniums, but that's kind of what you have to go with over here. Now, this next stage is disk util apfs add volume disk1 apfs x passphrase, which would obviously then call to the password that was just created a second ago. What this does is it creates an APFS volume, right? And then it encrypts it with that unique password that we just made. Then it removes source files, copies the exfil to that volume, then it unmounts the volume, and then it takes that password it generated and sends it to a C2 server far off. So that's basically the one-liner random ransomware you're getting. If you follow this from left all the way to right, you can chronologically picture exactly what's happening. Generation of the random password, creation of the actual like drive, copying all your essential files to said drive, taking out the drive, disconnecting it, and then sending that password that you'll need to get this data back to some server far off in the middle of nowhere. We're gonna copy, we're gonna paste it into the terminal. What? Oh, yeah, I couldn't resolve the host. Well, we might want to get rid of this. I'm not going to get the password or anything. We're just going to have to get rid of this section and just get to work, boys. Future! We're from an hour in the future, but you wouldn't know. That's the power of editing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that script was doggy poo poo. Now, the thing about this script, okay, here's a bunch of it. I've done a bunch of revisions, but I finally came up with mine. I did some modifications, but let me go over a couple things, okay? The script is roughly the same. It generates that random password, okay? It then sends that random password to a text file so we can see what the password is with the echo that password to user honest documents password.txt. Then it does the whole APFS file volume nonsense, and then it does the rsync, which is where it copies files to that partition that it makes, then deletes them, and then it unmounts it, okay? One thing to note, this disk 2 right here, they went with disk 1. This is one of the assumptions that caused this to screw up. Now again, if you were deploying this malware, you'd probably change it, but because I'm on a Hackintosh and I have a couple boot partitions before, I had to change this to disk 2. I was literally pulling my hair until I realized, ooh, I have a weird partition scheme. So anyways, though, now it's done, okay? Before I fucking die, all right, let me show you the magic, okay? So we're going to copy this bad boy right here, okay? And before we copy, I'm going to show you the files that we're about to lose. And these are some precious files, you know, big F in the chat. I have pretty much a lot of Ranton memes, okay? Now, if you don't know who Ranton is, he's one of, like, the greatest, like, German video game reviewers out there. Guy's a Shaolin monk, okay? He's also a cowboy. I even have a Zoom troller in the call right here. Now, we're about to lose these files, okay? These are some precious files. Now, as soon as I paste this bad boy into this terminal right here, assuming, you know, this is just to show you, you could like put this in a really small shell script, and if it gets super user privileges, look at this one right here, boys. Okay, so, you know, we'll close that up. It generates the APFS, copy, oh, the files are gone! Oh no! Oh no, dude! Where's my files? They're not in the trash bin. Now, first things first, okay? If you open up the disk utility on a Mac, you'll notice, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, I got a new partition, and it's fucking encrypted. Now, if you were to try to just mount this, good luck, enter a password. But now, if you were to get a ransomware, you wouldn't have the password, right? But because I echoed the password to my local drive, oh, we do. So let me show you what the password fucking looks like, boys and girls. If you go to the documents right here, pass.txt. Oh, we got the password. We got the password. Now it's just like 64 character string. All we got to do is copy that. Okay, we got to paste this. And if we unlock it, bang, bang, we have that encrypted password. So, haha, we beat the hacker. And now we've got all our memes back. Okay, so we've got Too Mad. We've got Ranton. Now, again, I did this just for the desktop. I could, in theory, tell it to take my entire user account and copy it to this partition anyways. I only did the desktop. Had I done the documents, the pictures, hell, if I even went a stage above and started going after system folders or something, which Apple probably would have rejected. But anyways, if you were to store your files on your desktop and this exact thing ran, congratulations, you just lost your desktop files off of one apparent line of code. So yes, it exists. Now, to say that Apple couldn't exactly get rid of it, actually, let me just laugh at the cringe real quick. Let's cover it. Now, understand what we just did, okay? If we bring up this whole shebang one more time, you'll notice that this is just basic shell scripting going on. This is just basic, like commands being passed, okay? Again, let's go over it, okay? We made a random number using the entropy tables on our system, right? That's one. Then we copied that password, we echoed it to a password file that I then looked at just now. Then we created an APFS encrypted volume using that password that was randomly generated. Then we rsynced, we copied all the files from my desktop to that new partition, and then using the remove source files, we got rid of those files from my system, effectively causing me to lose those files. Then we unmounted that drive, and bam, we have lost it, okay? So again, if we follow the original method of sending that password to a command and control server, yeah, guess what? They got your files. So that's pretty much what effectively happened. Now, to say that Apple couldn't patch this, yeah, I don't think they really can, because it does rely on Apple's entire internal systems. And this isn't necessarily bad. It's how you do things in a shell, anyways. It's how things work, okay? Honestly, all I've done over here, instead of being malicious, I would have done it on any Unix-based system for quick power user stuff, all right? Now, let's just cover a couple things. The only bad thing that I did was run this script in super user, okay? Because when I exposed that super user command, okay, because when you expose the SHC and you get into the whole super user side right here as denoted in the terminal, you allow anything to have root access on your system, and that's a no-no. You know how much I cringe, okay, when people are just running shit with administrator privileges on Windows? You know how much I cringe when, like, basic tasks, like Linux users, like these entry-level dudes, are just typing sudo in for everything? When you give super user privileges to a script or a tiny program that you do not trust, congratulations, you played yourself, homie. This is the kind of crap that happens. Now, I wanted to touch on this clickbaity stuff a little bit because I honestly think it is very clickbaity. To be real with you, this isn't Apple's fault and this is no one's fault, okay? This is just basic scripting 101. And unfortunately, you know, if your grandpa received a document or a compromised file that contained the shell script, and let's just be real, okay? Let's go in a real world scenario, okay? If someone who didn't know jack about their computer, okay, got something in the email, got whatever, downloaded a game file, whatever, a readme, launched this script, probably clicked yes to a super user prompt, which, by the way, is already a little bit difficult on Apple and like Linux anyways, because these are Unix-based systems and permissions are much better than what you would see on Windows, in my opinion. This would effectively cause you to lose your file. So yes, by definition, we just wrote a one-liner malware, okay? But again, this is not Apple's fault. This is clearly... if I sound like I'm fear-mongering, I hope that I am. I hope that I'm putting the message in your head. I see this all the time, okay? I see this all the time with family. I see this all the time with friends. Unless you know what the hell you're running, unless you know what the hell you're downloading, it can be this easy sometimes. Now, again, I had to rewrite the script a little because I do feel that the way this was initially written was all over the place. The rsync wasn't working that well. Honestly, I think Apple still has some proper mitigations, but you just saw how easy it was. If somebody sends you this, they lock your system down, and then they have your stuff. This is how you write ransomware, pretty much. And I'm not promoting that in any way. I'm just showing you how effective and honestly how easy it is. This took me like a couple of minutes at the most, tested it out, bam, we lost everything. So now what do I do if I had lost my files, right? This is where Papa Muda's special solution really comes down to. Well, if we go back to the Linux overlord where my VMs were running, all I have to do is effectively kill this bastard and then just revert back to an earlier day. If I snapshot my VMs, which I honestly do often, then I can just immediately load up an original save state and say, "Fuck you, hacker! I'm back to my grind." But that's just the power of virtual machines. But honestly, even going about the virtual machines and stepping away from it, I just wanted to cover a little bit of a little bit of computer hacker drama clickbait that I found on the internet. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed what you saw. I know computer stuff can be dry, but I just get my rocks off to it. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.